all new Stim-free pre-workout by Nexus. Mouth-watering flavors is an understatement. Let's not even talk about the skin-splitting pumps, baby.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Massive Joe's Raw Review, and I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com. Awesome Raw Review for the viewers at home today on an all-new Stim-free, pump-focused pre-workout from our new friends at Australian supplement company Nexus Sports Nutrition Amped in the house. Let's get straight into it, show you guys exactly what's in it, tell you exactly what it's gonna do. There's a lot of ingredients in here, guys, and the nutritional information panel on this tiny little tub ain't gonna get it done. We're about to go deep in this here Nexus Amp. Luckily, we got ourselves a big-ass nutritional information panel appearing on screen so you guys can play along. Let's start at the top. We have 40 servings per container. Technically, it's 40 scoops, and you can do a 1 or 2 scoop serve. When we go through the ingredients and the doses, I'm gonna go straight to the 2 scoop serve. So technically, it's 40 scoops, 20 2-scoop full serves per tub. In terms of the active ingredients, if we do a quick addition and we add up all of these actives, and there's a lot of them. Hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 active ingredients. We add those up, we can see that per scoop, it's 13.5 grams in a 1 scoop serve, and those ingredients add up to 9.7475 grams across the 13 active ingredients. Let me break that down for you guys. 72% active ingredients, 28% flavors, sweeteners, stabilizers, colors, and all of those other inactive ingredients. So we're starting off well. Anything above 70% actives is always good when it comes to pre-workouts and fat burners and aminos and all of those non-protein based supplements that we all love. So good start. In terms of what the active ingredients are made up of, you guys know that we are going to talk through the 4 main effects that we look for in Stim-free pre-workout formulas. Those effects are muscle pumps and improved blood flow. Effect number 2 is going to be muscle power. Effect number 3 has to be muscular endurance. And effect number 4, mental focus, elevation in mood, and overall nootropic experience. Let's go through them one by one. Let's start through, and just a reminder, I'm going to talk through a 2-scoop serve. So this is the double scoop, 20 2-scoop serves in each tub of the Amped. In the 2-scoop serve, let's start with muscle pumps and improved blood flow. We have a full clinical dose of citrulline malate, which is citrulline bonded to malic acid, going to boost nitric oxide through the arginine pathway. Citrulline, of course, a precursor to arginine. Clinical dose of that. We then have we're going to call it clinical dose. The dosing range for glycerol and this form of glycerol, glycosize, is between like 1 and 5 grams, and we're at 3, so we're pretty much bang in the middle. We're going to call that a clinical dose of glycosize. Glycosize is going to help hyperhydrate muscle cells. It's going to help with muscle pumps, muscle volume, and it's also going to touch on a little bit of muscular endurance. We'll get to that in a second. And then we have a full clinical dose of L-norvaline, which is an ingredient that I like to say is a pump prolonger. What it does is it inhibits the enzyme that breaks down excess arginine. So we've got citrulline as a precursor to arginine, boosting the arginine levels. And then we have norvaline saying we're going to keep those arginine levels up here. We're not going to let our body get to a state of homeostasis and try and bring them back down. So norvaline is going to help prolong those pumps. With those 3 ingredients, guys, and the synergism between the 3, we're going to give this a massive tick for muscle pumps and improved blood flow. Let's go on to effect number 2. Muscle power. We really only have 1 ingredient in this formula that is going to have a direct effect on muscle power, and unfortunately, it's significantly underdosed. That ingredient is betaine anhydrous, and it's only a 1 gram dose. So we're not going to give a tick for muscle power. We're 1 out of 2 at this point. Let's go effect number 3, muscular endurance. Woo! Now we get busy. Taurine. Huge dose, 3,000 milligrams. That's way above 3 times clinical dose. Glycosize, we've already spoken about, bang in that clinical dose range. Hyperhydrating muscle cells, of course, is going to help with muscular endurance as well, because drawing water into muscle cells is going to allow us to lift heavier for longer effectively. Beta-alanine in here, we have a big dose, 3,000 milligrams, 200 milligrams technically shy of a clinical dose, but it's pretty much a clinical dose, 3 full grams of beta-alanine in there. Beta-alanine, of course, is going to buffer fatigue, toxins, hydrogen ions, lactic acid, and all of those things that make us stop training, stop working out. So that's going to help with muscular endurance. We then have some electrolytes in here. We have Himalayan pink salt, which is going to yield sodium, of course, 400 milligrams. And then we have some vitamin B6 as pyridoxine in there in a very nice dose, 25 milligrams. There's a lot of synergism happening here for muscular endurance on paper, guys. So we get a massive tick for that particular effect. And then effect number 4, mental focus and elevation in mood and overall nootropic effect. We have a huge dose of L-tyrosine, 2,000 milligrams. That would be considered double clinical dose. We then have a full clinical dose of alpha GPC, standardized for 50% choline, a 300 milligram dose in there. Obviously, choline precursor to acetylcholine, going to help with mental focus. And let me just jump back, because tyrosine is a precursor to L-dopa, which is a precursor to dopamine, which is going to help elevate mood, make us feel nice in the gym. And then finally, we have mesembrine in here in a massive dose, also known as Canna. 60 milligrams is a huge dose of mesembrine. That's also going to help overall mood more than anything else. Some nice synergism between the tyrosine and the mesembrine in there as well. With those 3 ingredients and that synergism, we're going to give it a tick for mental focus and overall feeling of well-being as well. So we're at 3 out of 4 when we specifically look at, on paper, the effects that we look for in stimulant-free pre-workouts. I will also add that it does contain some ingredients to help with absorption. We've got some vitamin C in there, 500 milligrams, and we've got some black pepper extract pepperin in a 10 milligram dose. That's going to help our body absorb, especially some of these massive ingredients of these, massive doses, I should say, of these active ingredients. In terms of what it's missing on paper, love to play devil's advocate, love to pick these formulas apart. When it comes to muscle pumps, really the only thing that's missing is nitrates. We could add some nitrates in there, and that's just going to give us a triple threat effect at boosting blood flow and nutrient delivery. That's really the only thing that's missing from a muscle pump perspective. Muscle power is the biggest gap in this formula by far. We don't get a tick for muscle power. So we could do things like add creatine, obviously just adding more betaine anhydrous. You know, if we could get that betaine anhydrous up to like 3 to 5 grams, that'd be muscle power done. Elevate ATP, peak ATP, any of these muscle boosting ingredients would add to this formula from a muscle power perspective. When it comes to muscular endurance, very, very comprehensive synergistic formula here. Really the only thing we could look to add would be some PiCO2. And then when it comes to overall nootropic effects, really the only thing that I personally would add would be some huperzine A. Just because we've got the alpha GPC in there boosting acetylcholine, we want some huperzine A to stop the breakdown of excess acetylcholine. Just like the norvaline stops the breakdown of excess arginine when it comes to muscle pumps, huperzine A would really kind of prolong the mental focus more than anything else. So those are the gaps in the formula. But regardless, 3 out of 4 ticks when it comes to the 4 effects we look for in stim-free pre-workouts. Very solid formula, very solid doses for the most part across the board. It is a very well put together formula from Nexus Sports Nutrition. In terms of how it tastes, how it mixes, guys, it comes in 4 flavors. It comes in citrus bomb, it comes in grape or nerd explosion. I think they're having issues with that name. That's why at the moment I think it's Nerd Explosion, but it's going to be pushed to Grape Explosion pretty soon. It comes in a Draw Breaker, which is like a candy-based flavor, gobstopper flavor, I guess. And then it comes in this one right here. This is the tub I'm personally using at the moment. Not this tub exactly. My tub's down here. We're about to see that in a second. The limited edition red sour straps, but it is the most popular flavor, so it may not be limited edition by the time we finish shooting this raw review. Infamous Massive Joe's Taste and Mixability test about to go down. Here's my personal tub. Trained on this one this morning, the red sour straps. got ourselves an MJ shaker here ready to go. And what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to go 1 scoop. So it's going to technically, I mean, it's half a full serve, but the instructions say mix 1 serving 2 scoops with 600 ml of cold water. So I'm going to go 1 scoop in 300 ml of cold water. I got 300 ml here ready to go. I will tell you guys, I did a little weighing test of this scoop. Just before I jumped in here to shoot this video, and the scoop is significantly under. A scoop is supposed to weigh 13.5 grams. If you go a level scoop, and to be fair, the label doesn't specify level or heaped, but if you are to go a level scoop, that looks like that, you are hitting like less than 10 grams. So to get to 13.5, supplement junkies unite, because we love ourselves a heap scoop. You're gonna have to go like one of those bad boys right there. Seriously heap scoop. So I'm gonna take a seriously, and if you're doing a full 2 scoop serve, it's gonna be 2 of these. But for the purposes of the taste and mixability test, I'm gonna take 1 of these seriously heap scoops. I'm going to drop it in my MJ shaker with the 300 ml of water. Take my tub, put it back down here. Give a few flicks of the wrist. I'll show you guys how it mixes. Refresh my memory on how it tastes. And it's not a serious refresh because I trained on it, about 8 hours ago in this particular flavor. But for the purposes of suspense, I won't tell you how it tastes until I actually taste it. All right, there we go. You guys can see there's a whole lot of froth going on. If I let it settle, there's going to be a whole lot of sinkers that kind of sink down to the bottom. It's a stim-free pre-workout. There's no doubt about it. Turbo ball is required for this here Nexus Amp. Show you how it mixes in the glass as well. Not that you really ever do this. You're drinking it straight out the shaker, but just for the purposes, you can kind of see the froth does really kind of die down there, but there will be some sinkers if I let it, but I'm not going to let it because I'm super excited to get some of this back into me. Let me refresh my memory on how this red sour straps flavor tastes. Yeah. Oh man, Nexus have done a little bit of context, a little bit of background. Stim-free pre-workouts, I wouldn't say they're notoriously difficult to flavor, but a lot of brands and a lot of companies miss the mark when it comes to flavoring stim-free pre-workouts, especially when they're using like less than 30% non-active ingredients. Nexus have done an exceptional job with all of these flavors. We actually did a taste test across all 4 flavors here with the head office crew at MJ headquarters about 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And all of us across the board, across all of the flavors, we were like, wow, like these are really, really good stim-free pre-workout flavors. This is the flavor I'm using at the moment, the red sour straps, and it is exceptional. It is really, personally, I think it's the best flavor. If I had to rank the 4 flavors, I'd probably go the red sour straps, then the jawbreaker flavor, which is, it's just a sweet kind of candy flavor. Then I'd go the grape or the nut explosion, and then you guys know I don't get down with citrus. So citrus for me, even though it's a good citrus, don't get it twisted, just not my personal thing. So that's kind of how I'd rank them. But the flavors across the board are very, very good. They're not sickly sweet. They are strong flavors. I will say that. They are quite strong. They're not sickly sweet to the point where it's like, it kind of takes the moisture out of your mouth. But they've done a very good job across all of the flavors. So bravo, Nexus Sports Nutrition with the flavoring of this Amp. In terms of the effects, because that's what we're taking this for, guys. I personally have been training on this Amp in the 2 scoop serve for, this is week number 4 for me now, and I've experimented with it. I've used it by itself, 1 scoop, 2 scoops. I've gone 2.5 scoops just to kind of see. You guys know I like to use myself as a bit of a guinea pig. And I've actually been stacking it for the last week or so with Nexus stimulant-based pre-workout, which is called Perform, and kind of been using those doses as well and just kind of seeing how they interact. But for the purposes of this raw review, I'm just going to talk about my personal experience with the Amped by itself in the full clinical 2-scoop dose. Pumps, very good. Very, very good. I wouldn't say they're the best pumps I've ever had on a stim-free pre-workout. They're not quite there, but they are very good. They are very consistent. It is something that you definitely get out of this stim-free pre-workout is the elevated muscle pump. So if that's an effect that is important to you, you are going to love this pre-workout. Muscle power, non-existent. Do not take this pre-workout if you're trying to improve muscle power. It's just not going to happen. There's no surprises. There's one ingredient that's underdosed that's going to help with that. It's not going to do a lot for muscle power, and that is really the effect that it's missing when we look at complete stimulant-free pre-workout effects. Muscular endurance is exceptional. It is really, really good. And the best way that I personally test muscular endurance is to take a pre-workout on my longer, more taxing, more exhausting workouts, and Siri is keen as well. Those longer, more taxing, more exhausting workouts, which for me personally at the moment are my legs workouts and my back workouts in particular. They're long workouts. They just take a lot out of me. This pre-workout performs exceptionally well in both my legs workouts and my back workouts. It's almost like it's almost like there's stimulants in there, to be honest. It's like I can just keep training and training and training. The muscular endurance is exceptional in the Amped. If that's an effect that's important to you, you are going to really love this pre-workout. And then finally, when it comes to the nootropic effect, I would say it's pleasant is probably the best way I can describe it. It's definitely not tunnel vision, razor sharp, zoned in type mental focus. It's not that at all. There is an elevation in mental focus, but for me personally, I think the most prominent nootropic effect is the elevation in mood. You just feel good. You feel good. You feel pleasant. You feel calm. You feel relaxed, and you just feel good. That's the best way I can describe the nootropic effect. And it's just a really nice stim-free pre-workout to train on when it comes to that nootropic effect in particular. And I think overall, guys, I mean, it's definitely going into my rotation with like some of my favorite stim-free pre-workouts. It is a very solid formula for those workouts where muscle power is not particularly important to me, but I want really good pumps, I want exceptional endurance, and I just want to feel really good while I'm training. That's when I'm opening a tub of Amped and dropping a couple of scoops in my shaker pre-workout. In terms of the side effects, none. There's nothing that you need to be concerned about in this pre-workout. In terms of stackability, stacks with anything and everything. The one thing to be cautious of, and this is something that I noticed when I was stacking it with Nexus Stim-based pre-workout Perform, there is a lot of beta-alanine in here. So if there's beta-alanine in another pre-workout you're stacking it with, you can very quickly end up having 5-6 grams of beta-alanine and scratching your face off and not really realizing why. So just be cautious of the big dose of beta-alanine. Aside from that, it really does stack with anything and everything. There's nothing else you need to be concerned about. What does it compare to? What is in my rotation that I'm putting it up against? I'm going to pick an American product, technically a Canadian product. Let's call it a North American product, and an Australian product. On one hand, we're going to go head to head with Hostile Bloodshot, arguably the best stim-free pump-focused pre-workout on the market. On the other hand, we're going to go Primabolic's Grind, which is one of the most popular, definitely in the Australian market, stim-free pre-workouts. Let's start with Bloodshot. In Bloodshot, the pumps are much better. The power is much better. The endurance across Bloodshot and Amped is very similar. That being said, Bloodshot is beta-alanine free, so from a stackability perspective, perhaps it stacks a little bit better, but the endurance is very similar. The mood and focus in Amped, in my personal opinion, is better than Bloodshot. Bloodshot doesn't do a whole lot for focus at all. It does a little bit for mood, but it's just not as pleasant a feeling, in my personal opinion, as training on the Nexus Amp. So I kind of give Nexus Amp the nod there. Amped has more flavors at the moment. It has 4 flavors compared to 3. Bloodshot flavors are notoriously difficult to drink. Those of you who have tried them would definitely agree with me. Amp flavors are very, very good. Bloodshot is $30 more expensive, so it's significantly more expensive. Yeah, it does do some of these effects better, but really for the price, Amped is very difficult to go past. On the flip side, let's talk about Primabolic's grind, Australian versus Australian. Pumps across the two products are very similar, very good, very similar. In grind, the power is much better. Much better. Grind is one of the best stim-free pre-workouts for muscle power. In Amp, the endurance is much better. So we're 1 for 1 here. In Grind, the focus is slightly more zoned in than Amped, but in Amped, the mood is more pleasant than Grind. So it really depends where you sit on the sliding scale of, is mental focus more important or is elevation in mood more important? If mental focus is more important, it's Primabolic's Grind. If mood is more important, from my personal opinion, it's going to be the Nexus Amped. Grind has more flavors at the moment, 6 versus 4. Both of them, the flavors are really good. Grind has some of the best stim-free pre-workout flavors in the history of stim-free pre-workouts, and Amp, the flavors are very good across all 4 as well. They're exactly the same price and exactly the same number of serves. So the price per serve is exactly the same. So really, kind of depends what effects you give more value to personally as to whether you're going to go Grind or you're going to go Amped. Who is the Amped best for? Guys, generally speaking, when it comes to stim-free pre-workouts, it's going to be anyone who trains at night, anyone who doesn't want stimulants in their pre-workout, anyone who's trying to cycle off stimulants, cycle down stimulants, anyone who just wants all the effects of a pre-workout without having stimulants in there as well. And for specifically Amped, if you value pumps, if you value endurance, and if you value just feeling really good while you're training, this is definitely a pre-workout that you should take a closer look at. Last but not least, in terms of price and value for money, $69.95 for the 40 scoops, 22 scoop full serves. It's $1.75 per scoop. It's $3.50 per 2 scoop serve. It really doesn't matter how you cut it. That is exceptional value for money for a complete stimulant-free pre-workout that gets us 3 out of 4 ticks and does those 3 ticks exceptionally well. Guys, if you're in the market for a new stim-free pre-workout, I highly suggest you take a closer look at Nexus Amped. Guys, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the MJ Fitness YouTube channel. Don't forget to turn your post notifications on your mobile, your cell phone, your desktop PC, your smart TV, and whatever other device you are watching this video on, so you don't miss a beat when it comes to all these new raw reviews and everything else we've got happening here on the channel. Guys, that is MJ's raw review on the all-new Nexus Sports Nutrition Amped stimulant-free pre-workout pump-focused endurance smashing mood-elevating pre-workout. And I'm coming to you from MassiveJoes.com.